There's currently a J50 warrant of arrest against a well-known taxi boss that is situated in Durban, Mr. Thomas Getsemane. However, it looks like they were not able to give effect to the arrest. Instead, Mr. Getsemane has decided to lodge an urgent interdict to stop and halt that particular warrant of arrest.
Getsemane had issues with me. He still has, I believe. He has taken the police to court. He have gone to social media, podcast, and said all sorts of things about me. But I've never had anyone coming to me and say, here is something we have against Getsemane that must lead into a case.
On the other hand, the case of Vusumuzi Matlala and the co-accused is taking a drastic turn, especially after some information has been revealed regarding the situation and the circumstances that led to the attempted unaliving of Joe Sibanyoni.
Kubona laba abayithiwa bebehlikile ababedubula kulwe golf wathi yifa nja wathi washo nomshoka yithi.
After the finishing shooting, I heard one from those who were shooting that golf uttering these words, "Die dog, die dog."
In this video, I wanted us to talk about what has been going on with the case of Mr. Getsemane as well as the case of Vusumuzi Matlala, because somehow, these stories are related. So we'll first start with the Getsemane case. So we know, guys, that South Africa has one of the most brutal and very dangerous sectors, which is the business sector of the taxi industry. Taxi industry is a very, very dangerous sector because these people unalive each other left, right, and center.
Mr. Honorable Member Cameron, that's a dangerous world. A dangerous world.
Which one?
The taxi industry. It's a dangerous world. Too many people we have lost there. People die there. As I was saying, you sit here, I talk with you like this, and the next day, you are gone.
There's been a lot of cases of unaliving that have been reported, that have been taking place in our country that are involving the taxi industry. And for many a times, I think there's been a lot of people that have been trying to mediate, find things and find ways on how they can halt this thing that is going on in the taxi industry and how taxi owners are unaliving each other, taxi drivers are unaliving each other. The violence is just on another level. And one of the people that are at the forefront of trying to fight or trying to deal with this issue of the taxi industry is Mr. Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. He has tried many a times to different ways in trying to deal with this war that is happening in the taxi industry. So for you to understand a little bit of context, if you've been watching the channel or you have been watching the Nkabinde inquiry, there's been a lot of things that have been revealed during that time, especially involving the taxi industry. Because you guys, the Cartel unit. The Cartel unit was very much involved in dealing with this violence that are involving the taxi industry. And in as much as they were supposed to deal with that, from the evidence that was revealed at the Nkabinde inquiry, they were doing the contrary. They were making things worse when they were trying to deal with this violence. So it's something that is dating way back, even to the times of the Cartel unit, to the Poison, to Johan Poison and everybody else. So now Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, as I've said, has been part of the people that have been at the forefront of trying to deal with this issue that has engulfed this taxi industry in terms of violence, has tried to speak to different taxi owners and has tried to have meetings with different taxi associations to deal with this issue. But it looks like instead of them actually dealing with this issue, the violence is not stopping. And some of them are running away from Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi because one of them appeared at the Nkabinde inquiry and has said that Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi has been trying to meet him and he's been running away from him because he doesn't trust anybody since his life has been in danger. So we have that situation. So he has been trying to deal with this whole thing.
Over 50 cartridges were picked up yesterday in the crime scene. That was an incident where there was a shootout between the two these two associations. Luckily, nobody was injured. So you can imagine 50 bullets flying. The likelihood is that many people will have easily been killed.
However, when you want to bring peace in an environment like the taxi industry, do you think that people are just going to be happy and be like, oh my God, we like this guy, he's going to bring peace? They're not going to like you. And that is what is happening with Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. Let me first start with Mkhwanazi. Mkhwanazi is one of the people that wanted the head of Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. I don't know if he wanted to unalive him, or he wanted to have conversations with him, or he wanted to capture him, but he wanted Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi like nobody's business in his farm.
He said in the past, honorable member, is that there was a gentleman that was very big in the taxi business. He's late now. He had a game farm in north of Pretoria. Talk about taxi bosses, talk about business people, very prominent one. Talk about politicians, very prominent one. Will all make a turn in that place. I had conducted a peace talk in KZN on the taxes. He came there. I think he did not appreciate what I said in that meeting. When he left, I had this thing from people that are close to him. One of them is this Sergeant Nkosi, because he grew up with him there. He was his father. Where this man says, I want Mkhwanazi to come to the farm. If you can't bring Mkhwanazi to the farm, that means you don't have control of Mkhwanazi. Because he believed that if you come to the farm, it's a sign of respect to him. So everyone, that means they walk into that farm or drive into that farm, they are subjecting themselves to his authority. So these
and failed dismally to get Lieutenant Mkhwanazi in that farm. And I think those are some of the things that even frustrated him, because he felt like he couldn't control a general of the caliber of Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. And after the unaliving of Mkhwanazi, we know that a lot was happening, a lot happened with the taxi industry, including this very attempted unaliving of Mr. Joe Sibanyoni that we are currently attending in the High Court, Johannesburg. And this case of Joe Sibanyoni, a lot of conspiracies have came forward as to why Vusumuzi Matlala allegedly tried to unalive Joe Sibanyoni. That is because after the unaliving, or after Mr. Mkhwanazi passed away because of sickness, someone else had to take over. Because clearly, in as much as maybe you can rule, for example, Joe Sibanyoni is just untouchable in Mpumalanga. And it looks like Getsemane is untouchable in KZN. While Mkhwanazi, it seems like he was untouchable in Gauteng. However, Mkhwanazi's influence, it looks like it was throughout the associations. It was not just based in one province. So someone else obviously had to take reins from him, because he was one of the most powerful figures in the taxi industry. And it looks like the next person that was about to take over was Joe Sibanyoni. And people like Vusumuzi Matlala were not happy about that. How is Vusumuzi Matlala entering in this whole picture? You guys remember at the ad hoc committee that Vusumuzi Matlala during his testimony revealed that he was providing security services to Mkhwanazi.
It was he was a businessman. He was also the founder of Santago, which is a taxi association, and then he had other businesses. And the nature of my relationship with him, he was my client, providing security services for him.
So he was your client, and for how long did you provide him with security?
I say from 2000, what does it say? 2001, or I'll say maybe before COVID, 2000 until right when he passed on.
And when did he pass?
2024 January, I think. 2023, 2024 January. 23, 24, I'm not sure.
So did you say 2001 or 2020?
2021.
2021.
2021 or 2020, somewhere there, yes.
I know you mentioned 3 years, so it must be sort of 2021, 2024.
Yeah.
Or until he passed.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Mathibeli, very well known, a founder member of Santaco, and he also had other business interests.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just know that he was a shareholder in SA Taxi, and he also has a business called Taxi Choice.
So they're very, very close relationship with Mkhwanazi. And for someone who provides security services to someone like Mkhwanazi, obviously they can do even things like hits. We know how dangerous these securities can be sometimes. So it looks like it was something like that with Vusumuzi Matlala. Hence, he's the suspect now with this attempted unaliving on Joe Sibanyoni because of the evidence that has been presented, and the evidence that has been revealed a lot of times by Sunday Times to suggest that the conversations between Mabusela and Kekana suggests that these people were working for CAD to do these hits that we are currently attending now in the High Court, which is the hit on Joe Sibanyoni, Tebogo Tobejane, and DJ Vetis. So all of these cases, they are the cases of Vusumuzi Matala and the co-accused. But the one that I'm focusing more on, the one of attempted unaliving, is the one of Joe Sibanyoni. So it's happened that Vusumuzi Matala tried to unalive Joe Sibanyoni, of which you're going to talk about the cases I've said later on. But that's the thing, guys. You cannot just jump and go to Joe Sibanyoni when there's other people that were close to Mswazi that might have wanted to take the reins. And one of those people is Steve Mutsumi, is Umtagati.
So when you have such, and we see that Mswati is no more, and someone else is taking over from him, the name that the media are even afraid to pronounce, Steve Mutsumi, amongst others, and nobody says anything about it.
Their names have came forward many a time during Nkosi's testimony, and clearly it looks like they are people in the taxi industry that might be very much interested in taking reins from Mswazi Msibi. However, that did not happen. It looks like Joe Sibanyoni was supposed to take charge, hence the attempted unaliving on his life. And then enters Getsemane. Why is Getsemane involved? Where is Getsemane connected in all of this? First of all, it's of paramount importance for me to address to you that Getsemane, as well as Vusumuzi Matlala, so far there hasn't been any information that suggests that these people are connected, or they might know each other, or they have some relation or anything of that kind. However, there's another important figure. If you listened in the beginning of this video, who is the one that is introducing Getsemane? And that is none other than Calvin Mathibeli.
I think people maybe realize that they might have been afraid to come out until they realize that someone who's not afraid of Mathibeli, then they feel free. I had said that the man is closer to Getsemane, one of the taxi bosses in KZN.
Who is Calvin Mathibeli? To those who have been following the channel, you know him. But if you have not, you still new, welcome. And Calvin Mathibeli is a man that was fighting Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi not long ago, beginning of the year. He was here in the neck of Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, taking interviews, writing Facebook posts, saying nasty things about the general. I don't know if he wanted his attention or what, but they were so defamatory because he was making serious allegations. And those serious allegations landed him in an exclusive interview with Newsroom Africa, of which I'll try and link it at the end of this video just to remind you of the allegations that he was making against the PKTT and Lieutenant Mkhwanazi.
Very notorious taxi people. He doesn't work mainly for these private security sectors. He's working with taxi people that have been targeting me.
Who are those people?
Well, for now, we didn't want to mention people's name, but there are people whom have been bullying me myself as well. The same people. They've tried. There are a lot of hits that have been put on myself. I can count a number of those, whereby one of the most recent one, which was plotted against me, was for me to be assassinated there was assassination planned on the 15th of May 2024 by the same people.
And Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi said, no ways, I'm not going to be happy about this. I'm just going to take it to court. So this was after he was raided, Mr. Calvin. His property was raided. His security company was raided. So these were not the first times that these raids happened. These raids happened before, and it was revealed that those raids were illegal. So people were posing as police officers, and they were accompanied by KZN officials to go conduct these unlawful raids. However, as time goes by, they started conducting lawful raids. And now Calvin was confused as to were these raids lawful or unlawful, because sometimes there were raids that happened that were unlawful. But it looks like Mugai is involved in tender schemes. People have been approaching Lieutenant Mkhwanazi about him. It looks like he was just involved in a lot of illegal stuff.
So Matibeli did the same thing. The fact that there's investigations happening is because evidence now comes before me. Before that, I'm sure people didn't even know me. That's why they didn't raise those things. Because when I looked at how old are these things that they're raising, some of them a couple of years old, and I asked, but why these things were not spoken? They said, no, we're afraid of this man. We thought he's that powerful, he controls everything. Until we see someone that can challenge him, that's why we feel that we must come to you.
Hence, now the investigations by Lieutenant Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, which have led to the raids, and he was thinking this is an attack, and he started going on that media tour and speaking bad about Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, which then Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi went to court, got an interdict for him to stop talking about him and defaming his name, and then that's when the matter died down, when he apologized to Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. But that's the thing, this guy is connected to Gethsemane. So when Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi appeared at Ad Hoc, he told us that this guy is probably fighting the battles of Gethsemane. So I know you're asking yourself, hey Bo, manje, is Gethsemane fighting with Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi? Yes, he is.
Gethsemane had issues with me. He still has, I believe. He has taken the police to court. He have gone to social media, podcast, and said all sorts of things about me. But I've never had anyone coming to me and say, here is something we have against Getsemane that must lead into a case. So there's no investigation that we've ever lodged against Getsemane, despite of what he had said, of how he has behaved. So this is just to indicate that I'm not going all out to target a person. He's not a person that I target. That's why when I want to talk to him, I'll call him that I want to talk to you, because I don't have issues with him. Despite of how he feels about me and the SAPS, but that's him. So Matibeli did the same thing.
He is fighting with Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi because of the things that are dating back. Hence, I gave you the background around the issues of the taxi industry. He has replied, of which his reply I will put it later on before we speak about Matlala's trial, because it's in Vernac. But he has spoken a lot about Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, expressing his dissatisfaction about how Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi operates.
Inkinga ke ilo 100 million wami lo ngoba sesisebe emafinalini ukuthi bawukhokhe 100 million bangibiza ngeconstruction mafia. Kusho ukuthi General Mkhwanazi unento ayitshelwa abantu engingayazi wathatha lokho futhi angingadlali naye yena utshela ubheka icele emfeed information wrong ucommissioner ubheka icele lo kade uminister wamaphoyisa kudala akaze kubheka icele azangithanda yini nibangani naye sibanga ukuthi mhlambe successful businessman uma ngicabanga akababa umfundi phela umuntu ophumelelayo mina mbomvu ngiyaphumelela futhi ngiphumelela uyabona namanje ungabona ukuthi ngiyihlalele kuphi ngihlale bangivele ngasuka eThekwini ngayihambela ngihleli nje ngikhululekile so angihambi ngemali yontshontshwa ngihamba ngemali yami angazi ngihlanganisa namasela njengoba ngila amabhizinisi amayasebenza angazi ukuthi ngoneni kulowo muntu uma ngase nje noma ubani angamtshela ukuthi nansi into lo muntu ngihambe ngoyixolisa futhi ukuxolisa ke mina hayi angikusabi uma ngabe ngonile nje kuwena uyabona ngiyanqonqoza ngixolise ngithi ngiyaxolisa.
And what makes everything worse is the fact that Lieutenant Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, the charges that this guy is facing now are not charges that you are not familiar with. It's fraud and extortion, allegedly. And we know fraud and extortion is the same thing that Joe Sibanyoni was facing, which means it's the same problem that is happening with these taxi bosses. They're extorting people, they're doing all of those things that they are doing, allegedly. So I don't know if Getsemane also wants to take charge. How is Getsemane so involved in the cartels? How is his role in everything? But this is a known and a notorious businessman in KZN that some people are even afraid of talking about him, even I myself. Hence, I'm like, Mina Baba, I'm just talking about what is in the public, you know. I'm in troop. I'm not investigating you guys. Please don't come for me.
One known gentleman here who runs the transport industry in the north of Durban went to one site with 12 armed people last week. Not the very last Friday, the other one, on a Friday. 12 armed people. Bephethe inhloko lebhamu. Yeah. Ngiyalazi igama lakhe njengoba nihlelelana nje niyazi ukuthi nani niyamsaba njengoba nihleli lapha. Bakona laba bahleli labamsaba lo muntu. Yes, bamsaba. Abasukume phela abalibiza igama lakhe. Ngeke. Ngeke balibiza. They say nothing of that sort.
So that is what is going on with this case. So that is the crux of the case. Is he entangled in all of this thing that is going on, that is involving Joe Sibanyoni, Vusumuzi, Matlala, and everybody else that is involved? So you might ask yourself, what did he say before about Lieutenant Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi? I'll try put a clip of what he has said about Lieutenant Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, and I'm going to give credit to a creator here on YouTube. We'll try link his or her channel, who did speak about this guy a long time ago and linked this particular clip in his or her video. So this is the clip of what he said about Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi.
Ila qhamuka khona lo 100 million ke lo. Ngicabanga ukuthi uyawahlangisa amaphoyisa ngoba sesisemaphethelweni okugcina manje. Njengamanje ila qhamuka khona lo 100 million. Lo suit yami. Esengiphindile futhi manje njengoba bengenile ekhaya sengenza omunye u30 million njengamanje futhi nama case number yonke into sengiphethe njengamanje sengiphindile futhi right ama lawsuit la uGeneral Mkhwanazi zelability ku state uzosishaya siqumbe phansi ngoba uGetsemane uzoloku efuna imali nje ngifuna u30 kuloko sengifakile izinto namhlanje enkantolo zifayiliwe namhlanje. So le akhuluma ngayo icala babelakha nakhona ngangithunyelelwe iTRT yese province angangehle emotweni yami ngoba iAmad ngalinda kwaze kwafika amaphoyisa asemtshebheni athe mangabe sekufika amaphoyisa asemtshebheni kwayimangehla emotweni. Kuthe uma ngabe kufika kwafika uGeneral Mgobhozi ehamba nephoyisa uCaptain Thomas Getsemane bangibopha ngomsombuluko enkantolo engaya ngawo inkantolo ya strike off rule kusho ukuthi angenanga ngisho enkantolo mina yathi ayikho lento okudlalwa ngami baya emayini la bathi khona ngifike ngacosha abantu bathi abantu asiyazi lento enishoyo nansi itafike wasixoxelana ukuthi uthunywe inkosi yesizwe samaqadi umnikazi wale yamayini kuyimanje imayini ranwa construction mafia egunyazwe uGeneral Mkhwanazi ngoba uyigadile ranwa njengamanje imayini ranwa construction mafia.
So as you guys have heard, it looks like these people have been in lockerheads and have not really gotten along. They were just bebangahlangani bengakliki. No, it was not clicking. And it looks like it's because Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi is very interested in the taxi industry. And because of the violence, that is why he's interested, because we know that our general just likes peace, wants peace, and wants such things to be resolved. So then what happens? It looks like we're going to hear what the interdict entails in court and whether it's going to be a successful interdict to stop the arrest or not. The interdict can happen. It is permitted in law. And I think I did speak about this even with the case of Dumisani Khumalo, that he has that relief that he can exhaust. But yeah, it looks like this guy doesn't want to get arrested, and he has a defense as to why he doesn't think he should be arrested. But anything is possible at this moment. Then I wanted for us to quickly talk about what was going on with the trial of Vusumuzi Matlala. So the trial is very, very, very interesting. I enjoyed Mr. Cele's testimony, even though I felt like he was starting to crumble down during cross-examination, because it got so intense during cross-examination. But in examination in chief, basically, Mr. Cele was speaking about the fact that he's been a security guard from 2003, and on that day he was at a golf estate, and he was working at a car park when he saw, and Mazibugo was also working there as a controller. Mazibugo is also going to testify. I think he's witness number 4. And then what happened is that they're saying that a red Ferrari arrived, and it was at night. And then it was followed by a Golf, and then another BMW followed. And it was moving in a slow motion, and then they started opening their window. And when they were opening their windows, they then, moved, drove. And then when they arrived in the robots, they started turning. And when they turned, that's when they came and stood where the Golf as well as the Ferrari was, and they started shooting like nobody's business.
Or a white BMW passing.
ihamba starach ngathi khona umuntu abambheka or balahlekile.
It was in a slow motion, as if there were people who were looking for something.
Kwehle ifastela ivuleke kancane half ngaku left,
And the window of that BMW was lowered down a bit from the left hand side.
after vele ishaye i-U10 robot ishaye nje i-U10 lapha phakathi robot.
And then immediately when it was by the robot, it made a U-turn. Yes.
ivele izongena la emakhaya park la wethu la kungene khona le Golf R nale Ferrari.
Then it came and parked where at the car park where there was a Ferrari and a Golf 7.
vele kwehle nje abafowethu abayi-2 ukuqala.
And then 2 male people alighted from that motor vehicle.
bavele behle badonsa ama-AK-47.
When they alighted, they drew out their AK-47s.
Firstly kushuthi babona ukuthi ngathi ngibabonile ibullet lokuqala lingimiss.
Then they saw that I've spotted them or saw them, and then I was missed by the first bullet.
Mazibuko athi Cele asibaleke.
Then Mazibuko said to me, Cele, let's run away.
Hey.
And while they were shooting, Mr. Mzamo as well as Mr. Mazibuko, they started running because they realized that, hey, we are being shot at. They started running and they were hiding themselves in a place where there were flowers. And then they decided that, you know what? We're not going to hide ourselves for too long here because these people are shooting at us. So we need to shoot at them back. Then they started shooting and shooting. And from the cartridge cases that we found at the scene, it looks like Mr. Cele might have shot round about 15 bullets, more or less.
Firing shots, whether you struck any of the motor vehicles or any of the occupants there, can you just tell them?
Ungatshela inkantolo ukuthi ngesikhathi lezi manje udubule inhlaba. Ngaba ke manje udubule imotweni, imoto edubulekileyo noma kukho abantu abadubulekileyo la.
Ayashayeka i-BM kakhulu futhi.
Yes, I stuck the BM.
But that's what happened. But these people, while they were doing these activities, they were shouting things like, this dog must die. They said, Ifanja, meaning die dog. So those are some of the words that they were using. The other group, because it looks like there were 2 men that came out, but there was a driver who later on also came out and started shooting. One of the shooters was injured, and he even spoke about intestines. I don't know how bad it was, but one of the shooters was shot, but with him, it looks like him and the other guy, they survived, which is Mazibuko. And then after all of this particular vehicle drove away. And he said that at first, when all of this happened, it did not really click on his head. But later on, especially the next day, he realized that, oh, I could have been dead, and at least I'm still alive. So he says that after that, he used to get calls and messages that, I don't know if they were threatening or something like that, but he says that he was receiving some messages and calls that it looks like he was suggesting that they were not, they were strange, when the way he puts it, that he would even reject calls every now and again.
Over. Ngoba even na before ngeke ngathola ama calls, but after 4 years back ngathola ama calls, and yiyo le nto leyo engenza ukuthi icourt ngizonde kanje.
My lord, and but when they are doing this to me, my lord, that triggers flashback on me, my lord. And then previously, my lord, I received some strange calls, my lord, and that makes me really to abhor courts, not to hate courts.
Before I can go to some of the things that the legal representatives of these accused have raised, I first start with the cross-examination. So the cross-examination was intense because it looks like the sir forgot the time, which is Mr. Cele, forgot the time when the shooting happened. Secondly, very important aspect is that there's a possibility that the scene was tainted. Because even after everything has happened and everything ended, these people did not close the scene. Of which I think at the same time, probably they didn't know, they were all over the place, they were stressed. They just all over. I just assume that it was just too much for them to think, oh, let us secure the scene, let us secure the scene. Because this happened in the place where there were residents that were staying in there. From Mr. Cele's account, he says that there was no one that was coming out, but there were people that were going in because people were trying to go back to their houses.
Ngaphandle ke manje ukuthi amaphoyisa afike. Ingabe bekhona abantu nje abangena phakathi kwe-estate nabaphuma phakathi kwe-estate.
Abangenayo babekhona kisho imisabi lapha ya. Abaphuma babesaba ngoba kwakhala insimbi lapha ya.
People who were entering, there were people who were entering the premises. But the people who were already in the premises, they were afraid to go out of the premises as they were shooting outside. You couldn't go out at that time because there were gunshots there.
And because of that fact, it looks like the defense is trying to push that agenda that this scene was tainted. And the reason why I say that it's because of the arguments that they've raised regarding the issue of the evidence. So they spoke about the evidence, guys. So the evidence here is the CCTV footage, the pictures that were taken by Mr. Cele, specifically the CCTV footage that captured the whole event as to what really happened on that very day. So the CCTV footage is something that Mr. Cele confirmed and said he saw, and the way he relayed his story before the court is what is exactly displayed in the CCTV footage. So what the NPA was trying to do, or the state was trying to do, was to make sure that that CCTV footage is admissible before the court. However, the court argued that it was not admissible, that because of the situations, especially the legal representatives of Vusumuzi and Matlala raised a lot of issues around the fact that it might be fabricated and the fact that it might contain some AI elements in it. So now that is where the crux or the biggest issue was, that it might have been tampered with and that there might have been AI elements in it. So it was not admissible.
Absolutely, but look, let's say it turns out down the line that there was tampering with this evidence, that there was AI introduced or AI generated portions of it or anything like that. How does this work? Even though I know courts, judges sit and supposed to disengage themselves from what's presented, but it is so. We all human. We know what the law says about, for instance, eyewitness evidence, how fallible it is, and it's almost akin to the same situation. Much more, my lord. We've already got the prejudicial situation where this person says, "Oh, I've seen it, and it's exactly the same." You cannot at this stage deal with the evidence like that. Your lordship, of course, has the option.
So that particular CCTV footage was not admitted as evidence there at the court proceedings because of these arguments that were raised by the legal representatives of Vusumuzi and Matala. They've made it clear that they don't have a problem with the viva voce evidence and that they will test the evidence just like they're doing now with the cross-examination. Viva voce evidence is the oral evidence, but they just have a problem with the fact that this evidence of the CCTV footage right now, if they admit it, they might find problems later on if it has been fabricated. So they have a problem with the authenticity of that particular CCTV footage. So far, the only person that has started with the cross-examination is the defense of the first accused. And it looks like there's just a lot that they're still going to deal with because the cross-examination still will continue. It might even take the whole week because the accused, the witness is speaking in vernac, and they've been complaining a lot about his language, his use of language. They're saying he's disrespectful because of the fact that, isiZulu has a certain vulgar that can make you think this person is really being disrespectful.
But I would say it is disrespectful, more especially in the context in which it is said. And I would still say it again, much as this witness wants to be respected, he owes a respect to us.
So can I just, for the purposes of the non-Zulu speaking people, can you just interpret the phrase which he used, which is causing a bit of a challenge on the record? Which is the phrase that he used that was problematic?
The phrase that he used.
Yeah, what is read the phrase out and interpret it for us?
Utokwe olugayelwe mina. Akutokwe olugayelwe mina. What it will mean will be that's none of my business. That would be the direct translation. And my concern, my lord, is unfortunately my learned colleague is not Zulu conversant. But if the witness speaks to my learned colleague in the manner that he speaks to him, and that would be tantamount to the manner in which he would speak to me. And that is why I've got the duty to also protect, the integrity of my learned colleagues.
So that's one of the things that I think are going to make this trial to be a little bit longer. And there's still going to be more people that are going to testify in another language. So this trial, I think, is just going to be a really, really long trial. Unless the defense sticks to focusing on the questions that are necessary and stick to that and then move forward. Instead of staying the whole 1 hour, spending the whole 1 hour talking about time. I'm telling you guys, from my experience, such things, even a month is not enough. You'll end up taking 3 years with such cases. So they have to make sure that their questions are strict, they stay to what they want, and they also force or ask the witness to ask what they are looking for. But today, I didn't see Joe Sibanyoni. Yesterday, Joe Sibanyoni was there, DJ Vetis was there, Tebogo Tobejani was there. So today, I didn't see them, but I saw people that looks like they were linked to them. And it makes sense, guys. Attending 30 days every day won't work. And I think maybe others are just going to come when their segments, when it's their time, when it's necessary for them to be there. But obviously, I think there'll be people that are going to be there to watch. But I think, you see that courtroom, the way it's full now, I doubt that the 30th, because they said it's going to run for 30 days. That time of the 30th day will come with that courtroom filled like this. At some point, people will start losing interest. And that is where some of us come in, where we're going to be giving you guys daily updates regarding what is going on with the case of Vusumuzi Matlala. Nonetheless, guys, let me hear what you think about the businessman, KZN, taxi owner, Getsemane, as well as Vusumuzi Matlala trial. Something that interested you, but otherwise, I will keep on looking at the trial of Matala as well as what is going on with this case of Gethsemane, and I'll keep on updating you guys. Nonetheless, let me hear your thoughts. Tell your friends, to tell your cousin, to tell everybody that I'm on YouTube, and do not forget to subscribe. What are you waiting for? I'll see you in my next upload. Bye.